Welcome to Boardgame Publisher. Today, let's discuss about one of the most important choices that a board game publisher can do, choosing a manufacturer to work with. First, let's define what a manufacturer is, because in the States, many publishers are still called manufacturers, and it's not exactly the case, but the term has lingered over time. A manufacturer is someone that is capable of getting your designs printed on paper and then to assemble that paper, glue it on cardboard and turn it into a game box, a game board, punch boards, game components, all of that. So the board game manufacturer is an industrial company that is able to turn your ideas, your file, into a finished product that you will be able to send then to your distributor and to the retailers and then to the players. So it's really a company that is specialized not in creating board games, in developing board games, in the trade of ideas, I would say. They are very much in the trade of product. They will take your idea, they will take your file and turn that into a product. And that is very much an industrial process. It's a specialized process. And when you want to choose a board game manufacturer, there are a lot of them on the market, so you have to do some comparison and make a choice to the one that you will be working with. And just going for the cheapest may not be the best choice, because you will get a lot of trouble if you go just for the cheapest. There are a lot of factors to consider. It's important to understand what a board game manufacturer does so that you can compare them and choose the one which is best fit for your actual needs. Board game manufacturers is a company that has several trades, some of them inside the company and some of them are just outsourced to other companies. One of the values of the board game manufacturer is that they will be able to coordinate the production of the various elements and assemble them together and provide you a finished box that is ready to sell, so that you don't have to do it yourself and to start contacting a printer to get the print, and then a cardboard specialist to mount the print on the cardboard and turn it into boxes and punch boards and tokens and whatever, and then a plastic specialist to do your miniature or your tokens, and then a wood specialist to do your wooden component, and then assemble all of that yourself. So all of that is what the board game manufacturer will be doing for you. So the first thing, of course, is to be well aware of the product that you want the manufacturer to do for you. I will discuss the process of making a quote request later on. The quote request is a document in which you detail all of the components, all of the material that you want the manufacturer to create and to assemble for you, and the order in which they need to be assembled, and all of the specification for that. And that quote request document will be used as the basis to establish the quote and to tell you, okay, this will cost that much if you make that much copies, and so on. According to the kind of game that you want to produce, you will need to get a manufacturer that can handle that kind of component. If I want to do a game with a lot of miniatures, there's no chance that a company like Cartamundi would do it for me, because Cartamundi is a company that is highly specialized in cards. That's their core business. They do card, they do cardboard. They could do miniature, they could outsource it, I'm sure they could, but many other companies specialize in miniatures, and so if I have a game that relies heavily on miniatures, I will go to a manufacturer which is more suitable for that kind of product. On the other hand, if I want to do a product which is just a box and a deck of cards, then I would go to Cartamundi, I would go to Fabryka Kart in Poland, I would go to one of these manufacturers which is very much specialized in cards, because that is their core business and they will be better suited to do that kind of product. So knowing the kind of product you want to do and knowing the specialties of each of the manufacturers is a very important part of the process. And this is something that most manufacturers are usually quite open about. When you talk about a manufacturer and you tell them, okay, what what are your strong points, what are the things that you do in-house, and what are the things that you can do but are not your core business. And they usually will be very open about it, and they will discuss this with you to help you, provide you the best service they can, because they are service companies. Huh? It's also important to consider the place where the production batch that you are doing will be sold. If you know that you will sell the games worldwide, then the place they are produced in does not matter very much. But if you know that you are doing a batch which is exclusively for the North American continent, it might make sense to look for a local producer, a local manufacturer in the US or in Canada. If you know that you will be producing a batch that will be sold exclusively in Asia, by all means produce in Asia. You will save on transport, you will save time as well, because transport takes time. And also that's one unknown that you can take out of the equation, because at the moment, for instance, with the COVID situation, it's very hard to get goods from point A to point B. There is a shortage of containers. The containers are currently waiting in ports, not necessarily in the place where empty containers are needed. And there is a huge backlog in the time needed to empty the containers that have arrived at port, and then to send them back to the production areas so that they can be refilled again. So that kind of issue, the more locally you produce, the less you are exposed to that kind of issue. Same for Europe, of course. You have a lot of manufacturers in Europe, and if you know that you will be selling your game mostly or exclusively in Europe, by all means produce in Europe. So it's not only a matter of looking at the cost, you have to know what the manufacturer is specialized in, look at the location, and look also at the reputation of the manufacturer. Do not make that decision alone. Make a short list of several manufacturers that you are considering for your product, and then talk with other board game publishers. Ask them questions, ask them for feedback. Tell them, you can go to the board game industry group on Facebook. You can go to Board Game Geek, and you can ask plainly. You can say, okay, I am a board game publisher. I am considering working with this and this company for this product. Do you have feedback? Has anyone worked with them before? Can you provide a recommendation? And also you can ask your manufacturer, the ones that you are considering working with, if they can provide some recommendation of other board game publishers that have worked with them. Most of the time, they will be very happy to do so. If they are reluctant to provide any recommendation to any publisher they are working with, that is a major red flag. I mean, if the product is good, if the service is good, why would they not want to refer you to other of their customers for a reference? That would be really, really odd. It never happened to me so far. Every time I have discussed with a manufacturer, they were happy to tell me, we work with this and this company, we have produced this product. They are usually quite proud of it. And when you talk with other board game publishers, they usually are quite open also to tell you the manufacturers they have been working with, and the issues they had, and the good and the bad points of each of these manufacturers. So it's there is a lot of information, there is a community of board game publishers. So make use of it, don't make a decision alone and then regret it. That would be really, really sad to do. Some of the aspects of your game will also determine where you should produce it. For instance, if you want to do plastic components, if you want to do miniatures, you should do them in Asia. Currently, in the US and in Europe, there is no one which is capable of doing miniatures at a reasonable cost with the level of quality that we are expecting in board games at the moment. I may be wrong. If you know that someone can do that, by all means let me know. Put that information in the comments. I will be happy for the correction, because I've looked for them, and so far all of the companies that I met that were able to do miniatures were in Asia. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and they are quite competent and they have reached a very good level of production. But that's the way it is. So if you are reluctant to produce in Asia at all, well, be aware of that, and then maybe consider doing games that do not rely on plastic components or miniatures and focus on wooden components, on cardboard components, and that kind of stuff. That's something important to know. One of the things to consider as well is that you will want to do repeat business with the same manufacturer over time. You are not just making one product and then disappearing. You are in, hopefully, for the long run. And so you will be producing several games, and if your game is successful, you will be reprinting some of your games. So you want to keep the same manufacturer, especially for reprints of the same game, because there are a lot of setup costs for the die cuts, tools and stuff like that, molds if you do plastic. All of these setup costs are for the first print run, but then when you do another print run, you can reuse part of that, so it lowers your cost. So it's interesting financially to work with the same manufacturer over time. But another aspect which is very important as well is that you will build up a relationship with the board game manufacturer that you are working with. They will start to know you better, you will start to know them better. They will be more open over time about what exactly they can and cannot do. They are usually quite open from the start, but there are some things that they may not tell you from day one, I would say. But as you gain more experience and as the relationship gets better, you will get to know them better. And so it will allow you to make better product as well, because you will be able to discuss well in advance the technical aspects of the product that you want to make, to check with them, is this doable or not? For instance, recently I was considering making a product using a very specific printing technique to achieve a very specific effect and function into the gaming material. And I discussed that with a couple manufacturers, and one of them told me, oh, the thing that you want to do is something that you cannot do exactly that way, because it would not work into the printing presses. We would have to prepare the paper in a special way, and then the printing press would not be able to print correctly on the paper after that. And it's not something that can be done after the printing process. So it is doable, but it will never get the kind of result that you are trying to achieve. And so we moved on and discussed two other ways to achieve something similar using different techniques. That's the kind of discussion that you can have with a manufacturer once you have a relationship for a while with them. But on day one, they will not be open to that. They will just tell you, I don't think we can do it, and they will not go further. If they know that you are a customer, a returning customer, that you mean business to them, not just on one print run, but year on over time, then they will be, I would say, able to invest more time into the relationship. That's quite logical, but to some people it's quite surprising. A board game manufacturer is not like a shop in which you get in, buy a cell phone and then get out, and that's the extent of the relationship you have with them. No, there is much value in building a relationship with your manufacturer over time. Maybe you agree with this, maybe you do not agree, so please leave a comment and let me know. And as usual, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not like it, give it a thumbs down, so that at least we have some movement into the YouTube algorithm.